Hello, everybody, and welcome to Table Takes. Today is, of course, April 16th. So, guess what? I hear a lot of people in Washington, especially on Table Takes, have gotten their shots. Everybody, I hope you're getting vaccinated for real. In any case, Derek, how are you feeling after getting punched in the arm by I guess Bill Gates, right? Bill Gates punches us in the arm. Is that how it works?
Yep. Moderna. Yeah. I got sci-fi Bill Gates. So, Moderna's Dolly Parton. So I got Dolly Parton's cyborg shot.
Oh,
right.
Dolly Parton.
I can't wait till you get a big bouffant, and yeah, I can't wait.
I will very much look forward to that too. That'll be a transformation for the ages.
Just wake up, you have this big blonde bouffant. Oh my god!
And like Kafka, but as Dolly Parton instead. So Monday I got the Moderna shot. I had to go through a little bit of hoops to get it, but it was actually pretty easy once I got a time. And then I got it. The weird thing is that the shots were administered in a museum that had been closed and set up for this purpose.
That's where I got mine.
So you got your shot right next to like the fake 1850s like
a shack,
gold paneling shack. Yeah.
Yeah. Wait, are you sure this wasn't a Ripley's Believe It or Not? Because the way you're describing it, that's what it sounds like.
I got my shot under like a bunch of like Si Se Puerta, like unionizing and a shack and an old car. It was quite the experience.
Like the museum was basically, did you know that you owe immigrant Latino and Hispanic workers for your unions? And I was like, yeah, I guess that's true. And they're like, here's your shot. So I'm very excited that I got the shot. The follow-up is scheduled in May. So
I'm just reading what chat was saying. They're saying it should have been put in the bubonic plague exhibit.
Well, mainly because I think I saw some video about how the bubonic plague popped back up in San Francisco like 40 years ago or something like that. And the reactions in the paper were exactly like all the reactions when COVID was around here. So everything that is old is new again.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Aren't they also like the global warming? All those miners that got like really, really sick with the mysterious disease, their bodies are melting. So the bacteria that was on there still survives. So there's new plagues that may be coming out because of, bodies melting. You guys didn't know about that? Also zombie deers. You need to look this up. It's fun.
Yep.
Love it. The more you know.
Wow.
So much in the internet.
It's okay. But what about you, Emma? What have you been up to instead of my looking at all the deep dark things on the internet?
I also got my shot. Is in the Fred Hutch, the Seattle Cancer Center. They're doing vaccinations there as well, and they also had a lot of art there. So it was that same kind. I was like looking at art and preparing for my shot. And I just it felt very historic. Like I just had like pictures of moments. I'm like, I'm going to remember this probably for the rest of my life. Just like seeing everyone lining up and just thinking about all the people giving the shots. And like, they're going to give like 1,000 shots today, and just how intense all the people working that situation are. It's just like, on the one hand, I was trying not to freak out because I don't love shots. And on the other hand, my brain is just like, wow, this is so trippy that I'm doing this right now. So it was definitely exciting, intense, scary. And I'm still my head's still kind of buzzing with it. Also, last week, I talked about my sweet babies, my succulents that I potted, that I forgot to show them on the camera. So I want to show my sweet little jelly bean toes. I got a bunch of them, but I only brought a couple in here, and probably no one cares, but I'm obsessed with just these little cutie patooties, and I don't know why not everyone can love little things.
They need googly eyes on them.
I have googly eyes. I could put one like on the pot down here, but yeah, I have succulents, and they're great because they're very hard to kill. So I just leave them in my windowsill and forget about them for a while, and then they're still there. I'm like, oh yeah, that's great. If other plants would probably be dead, but these ones aren't, because
I think you need to ask Bonsai to make you little planter pots that have little butts sculpted on them.
Oh, I could.
Oh my god, I could commission that. Yeah, I haven't thought about that. I need more pots because they are having babies. I feel like a bunny farm or something because they just keep having babies. And I'm like, I got to get pots for these because they just keep reproducing. Butt planters, yeah.
But yeah, no, I thank you for showing off your little baby plantos. And then also to keep rolling on the shot trains, Isabella, you got poked too, right?
I love
How are you
this.
feeling?
I love that we did not plan on all getting vaccinated at the same time, and yet we all got vaccinated. This is great. Yeah, my friend came over to my house and knocked on my door and was like, "Open up, we're getting vaccinated today." And so we drove around from like vaccination site to vaccination site trying to get vaccines, which was actually really cool and a lot of fun. And we drove around and then we ate burritos and it was great. And then we found a place that was giving vaccines, and they, it was next to a reconstructed shack and a old Model T. It was weird. But the lady gave me my vaccine, was super nice. And I had minimal side effects. My arm was super sore for like 3 days. And I was so sleepy. I'm always sleepy. I love napping. Napping is my favorite thing to do in the entire world. But for some reason, I was sleeping like 16 hours a day after I got my shot, and it still was not enough for me. So yeah, that was everything. Very excited about that. Very excited about my shot. She shot me right in the tattoo. I don't know why she did that, but she did. And so
just for fun.
So that was, I hear a lot of people saying that like when they're getting their shots, they get specifically like if they have a tattoo that the people are specifically hitting them in certain spots. So like Lilith got like stabbed through the heart because they're like your tattoo friend should get immunized too.
She was just like, she was very nice about it. She was very much like, why are you so squeamish when you have all these tattoos? And I was like, it's not the same. It's not. Tattoos and shots are totally different. They're totally different.
Yeah, tattoos are way more painful.
Yes, they are. But it's the psychological thing. When you get a shot, it's your monkey brain lights up and you're just like, no, it's scary. But then when you get a tattoo, you're like, sick. Oh, cool. Like, I don't know, there's just something weird about it. So yeah. And then my local record shop, Everyday Music, shout out to you guys. They're closing. They're like one of the best used record stores in the country, or not the country, I was gonna say the county. Woo, it's gonna be a long day, y'all. I got bangs suddenly. She's changed. And I went there yesterday and I bought like $150 worth of records. And it was super sad because, you know, the city is changing and like all of my favorite like mom and pop places are closing down. And you know, it's kind of a bummer. So I wanted to say, if you have a local place, little mom and pop place, little small indie place, go shop there. When you get your vaccines, you know, still wear your mask, because you guys still wear your mask even though you're vaccinated. Even though I feel so strong, I feel like that guy in The Lady in the Lake. Have you guys ever, or The Lady in the Water, the M. Night Shyamalan movie that's like not as bad as people remember it being? The one where he only works out with his one arm, so he has one really buff arm and then he has one really weak one. It's a weird movie. It's a strange movie. But I feel like I'm very strong on one side. I can't wait until I can go back and get all the vaccines. I'm gonna get Johnson Johnson. I'm gonna get Pfizer. I'm gonna get all the vaccines and collect them.
All of them. Just get them all.
So yeah, that was great. And then my cat scratched my face, and so now I have a scar on my eyebrow.
Oh no!
Yeah, it was
a cool
not.
scar.
No, she's saying you gotta put the line through your eyebrow. She just wants you to be hip.
I know, and she could have done that in a more loving way. So my week's been really active. It's a very active week. Yeah. What about you, Bonsai Bibi?
Ooh, I have been on a mini vacation, a staycation, as you will. I fixed my dishwasher machine and I mowed my lawn yesterday. This is what I do on vacation.
You're an adult.
Very exciting. But also I got to eat at I don't know if you guys ever heard of this place called Ascend in Bellevue. All right, go there for the sushi, not so much the steak. The steaks are still good, but there's other places that you could go that's better steaks. But this one, the sushi, really good. I just did not realize that apparently truffle like mousse or something, whatever, goes really well. Mushrooms go really well with raw fish. It was like a weird experiment.
Yeah.
It was it does. Mushrooms go well with raw fish, and they also had like a lemon sauce on there. It's very fancy. I took pictures for Instagram. Also, the gosh darn drink that I had that was like, what are the smoky dry ice? There you go. Made it like impossible to drink because I went to drink and then all the carbonation and bubbles and dry ice went up my nose and made me tear up. And I was like, it's pretty, but it hurts. But it's okay because you know what? More exciting things are happening this week. I don't know if you guys noticed, that's been blasting out a lot of streamers, and Magic also has been tweeting out about the school has opened up. Emma, tell us. We can all go to school now, right?
We can go to school. Yeah, 5 schools to be
Ooh.
exact. Strixhaven is out. Go do a magic. Yeah, we have the new set here. It feels like Kaldheim was just yesterday, but no, it was probably a year ago or something for time. I don't know how it works anymore. But yeah, new set, new cards. I've played around with them a little bit. There's, of course, as usual with new Magic sets, we have new mechanics, new named mechanics, such as Magecraft. It's a little familiar to things that have come before, such as Prowess. It's triggered by when you play an instant or a sorcery. However, in this case, it does all sorts of weird things. I will say the cards in this set, there's a lot of text. So I was doing a little bit of sealed over the last couple of days. It was just yesterday because it came out yesterday. But going through the sealed, and there's a one Prismari card, which is the red-blue school houses, I guess we're calling them. Campuses.
Are they houses or are they schools? I
don't know. There's a specific term we're supposed to use for it. I forget what it is. But yeah, there's a Magecraft. When you cast a spell, you can target one of your other creatures, and when the creature leaves the battlefield this turn, you can make a 4/4 elemental and then exile the creature, and then it goes into a place. There's a lot of words on here, but when you're casting spells, it's doing cool stuff like you're getting counters on your creatures, so that's pretty fun and exciting. One of the big things I've noticed, I've only played the set a little bit, so I can't speak to the long-term experience, but it really does seem like they're mixing up the color pie quite a bit. And for those of you a little less familiar with Magic the Gathering, the color pie, the 5 colors, white, black, red, green, blue, that was probably 5. Each of them, historically, when the game first came out, had specific things that was associated with it. And the nice thing as someone who plays the game pretty heavily is, okay, they play an island, right? I have some expectations of the kinds of things. They're going to be able to draw a lot of cards. They might counter my spells. They might have bounce effects. So it does a lot of the heavy lifting of playing the game. However, it turns out some effects are just really powerful, like drawing a card, and some effects like life gain, maybe not so powerful. So they're really pushing on doing those effects in different parts of the color pie in ways that still make sense for the color pie. So you still have a lot of like the flavor, because people really care about the flavor, and they're like, well, that doesn't feel like something red should be able to do, for example. So it's been cool. I appreciate that because it can, if they stick too close to the color pie, it can kind of disrupt the balance of the game, and make some colors not as exciting to play. But the combinations, the houses feel really fresh and kind of dramatic this time around. A couple of the ones I was checking out was Quandrix, exciting creatures that grow up the fractals. So you have a lot of stuff with it, make a 0/0 fractal creature and then put a bunch of counters on it, or this creature comes in, put a bunch of counters on all the fractals that you make. This one, you draw cards, and then one of your lands becomes a fractal creature and stuff. It's very big, very quickly, which is intense and fun and exciting. But then someone destroys your stuff. So it's like, oh, it was a big creature, but now it's dead, sad. Also played around a little bit with Silverquill, and this is the traditionally Orzhov or the white-black house. And this one, Silver Quill specifically, it's got a lot of putting counters onto creatures. So they start out kind of small and dopey, and then they can grow bigger kind of steadily. Silver Quill also has some cool, like, flexible stuff. One of my favorite spells I've seen so far is, like, either put a +1/+1 counter, or either creatures get +1/+1 till the end of the turn, or destroy a creature with power 4 or greater. So that kind of, okay, if they have a big thing, I can get rid of it. Or if I have a wide board, I could just make everything bigger and get through. So a lot of flexibility, I think, is the big thing. And the other big thing from Strixhaven that I've seen so far is the learn/lesson. And this is where cards will have an ability, they'll say, like, draw a card or something, and then learn. And what learn means is you can go into your sideboard and get any card that says lesson on it. And lesson will be things like cast a 2/1 creature with flying, and that card will go into your hand. So very flexible, right? So you cast these cards, and then you can go and get a card that you have in your possession. So you can kind of choose, like, is this one better here, or is this one better here? All the cards, they're kind of underpowered, because otherwise they would be totally busted. But it's cool. Again, just like a lot of control, a lot of just interesting stuff going on. So I'm really interested to see how this set will play out over time.
The marketing, I think, has been pretty slick for it too.
Yeah.
You know, we were talking before the stream, like the Silver Quill, like, promo reel, effectively.
Oh, yeah,
I
it's so
thought,
good.
yeah, they did a really nice job of, giving Silver Quill a little bit of that, very Slytherin edge, but at the same time, giving it any sort of redeeming quality, so you could understand why, like, it would exist and would not just be straight up banned.
Right.
Well, I've been just loving all of the various different, like, if you go ahead and look under, I believe, like, the various different hashtags for this, a lot Strixhaven hashtag, a lot of, like, content creators, a lot of broadcasters have been doing their own cosplay while playing the game. And I just really like some of the outfits that people have. It's also blown onto, like, TikTok. I don't know if you guys noticed, there's people also doing stuff in there. And I just like, I think houses are smart, very smart, Magic, putting people into houses, because you understand how, like, people can group up and conquer. You know what? I feel like if we were on a desert planet, we should all group up and conquer, and then have freedom of the spice for everyone. Don't you agree, Isabella?
I love how we all caught the transition at the same time.
I suspect maybe Bonsai should go back and reread Dune to see if the lesson of Dune is unite and conquer to free the spice, because that's not the lesson I got out of it.
Well, I mean, technically, spoiler alert, it's to destroy the spice. Because these wayfarers have gotten too hooked on using the spice in order to jump and make predictions. But
I love this. I love that you're like, don't spoiler alert for this 40-year-old novel. One. Two, I love that you think that Dune is like an anti-drug thing, where they're like, too many people are hooked on the spice, we gotta destroy it. I love this Nancy Reagan dare thing. I love this. I want you to just do summaries of Dune. Now, sorry, all I could think about the entire time that Emma was talking about was pie. There's a pie shop down the street. I've never been to it. And I know. And it's just a window, and they just sell you pies. I think it's just called Pie Window. And I've never been to it because I'm not a big pie person. Anyway, I was thinking about it today because I was thinking I could really go for some apple pie today. So thanks, Marcus, for backing me up. Yeah, Dune. You remember that thing that was supposed to come out in theaters several months ago?
Now it's coming out to my HBO.
Yes, you know that thing that's now coming out on HBO, which no one is happy about, including the filmmakers. Derek's happy about it, so I guess it's all worth it. Denis Villeneuve is not very happy about the fact that his big giant worm movie is going to HBO Max. But it's okay, because Derek and I are going to rent out the Pacific Place, and we're going to watch it when it comes out, because you can do that now. You can rent out. I'm going to rent out Pacific Place so I can watch the Kong baby monkey fight baby lizard babies. Do that. Anyway, Dune. there's so much Dune stuff happening while there's no Dune stuff happening whatsoever. There was a Dune game that came out before, and I know this because I had to actually fill in my co-host about this because they were very confused about how the Dune games work. So let me fill in. Yeah, it happened. I know you guys were confused, and I helped you out because you guys, you couldn't handle it because it was a lot of information. It's okay. That's why I'm here. So there's Dune Imperium, which is a board game / card game, collected game for the board, and I got it. And that came out already. Okay, and that was a big deal. But there's another game coming out, and that also has Imperium in the title, which confused me. And this is Dune Adventures in the Imperium, and this one is not a board game or a card collecting game. This one is an RPG game that you can play where you can be the characters, you can make up your own characters, and you can exist inside of like Arrakis, and you can do spice, and you can ride a worm, I guess. And so that's there's so much Dune stuff happening. This is what I mean by there's so much Dune stuff happening and there's no Dune stuff happening whatsoever. So now there's 2 games. Yes, 2 games, three games. I know this. There's 3 Dune games out now, and this game is now out on PDF, but the physical copies are now they're coming out later as well.
Pre-orders will be shipping in May, and they're hoping that it'll arrive in stores June-ish. Assuming that our supply chains can maintain themselves during this trying
and
time.
no other ships get stuck in the canal. No more evergreens. Anywho, but yeah, no, I heard a lot of really good things about this new Dune RPG. The only problem I've heard about so far is that you don't get a full map of Dune. It's still like the same original North sphere of Dune that we get. Well, people are like, we want a whole map. This game is good, but we only have half the map. Please give us all map.
The other half sand. You just want a bunch of sand. That's the other half of the map.
I think that's what the book always said. Is like, the Southern Hemisphere is just kind of the great open desert.
There's nothing.
Well, just give them. That's what everyone wants. Just let them have it.
We'll just slide a piece of paper over to them that's blank and say, "Look, you're good."
Yeah,
just a map and it just says sand on it. It's just.
What kind of sand? Is it like rocky sand or like?
It's half a planet. I'm pretty sure they got space for all of it.
Yeah, there's other planets, there's other locations and things like that you could get a map of, sure. But if you're talking about a map of Arrakis, have you ever been to see some sand? That's it. That's all it is. Some dunes and some sand, and then there's like a spice plant just like every 5,000 miles. So there's really not much going on. This is really cool. I mean, like Dune, for me, we've talked about this ad nauseum because Derek and I are both Dune fanboys, spice heads, as they call them online. And I love the idea of being able to be part of this. You can choose like which house that you want to belong into and stuff like that, to be able to be part of the world of Dune, which is pretty expansive. And Dune itself, which I'm very interested to see these movies finally, because I don't know how they're going to encapsulate all of Dune into these movies, because Dune is like 17 books. It's wild. It's the biggest world. There's a point where Paul Atreides turns into a worm. He has a human face and a worm body. It's wild.
What?
Yes.
No, that's Leto the Second.
Oh no, it's his son that turns into a worm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Anyway, in Children of Dune, that's the one. No, it's true. In Children of Dune, Leo the Second, his son,
Leto.
Twin. That's what I said. I know so much about Dune.
Wow.
Anyway, this is coming out soon. You can get your hands on the core rulebook standard edition PDF, which is out now. It's for $14.99 Great British pounds, which equals 1 Dogecoin, 2 Bitcoins. Yes.
Most of that picture is correct. The plant thing, I think we need to remove the plant. It's worth noting this.
Oh my goodness, Emma, they need to hire you to do this now.
What do you guys think the spice is? What is your
Do I need to spoil this for all of you?
A spice plant, right? Like a flower, like a plant.
No.
It's a spice
No.
plant.
No. Spice is worm poop.
It is worm.
Yeah.
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 Spoilers. Jeez, I didn't
Yeah.
know that.
Yep.
You can't spoil something that is decades old. You can't.
We're definitely renting out a movie theater to go watch Dune.
Gotta do all the Dune.
Let's do it.
Dune. Yes.
I've
Awesome.
been
Now
trying
that we have
a TableTakes field trip for so long. I'm really excited about that. Yeah, no, the worms, and they eat the thing and then they poop out and then the humans come and
There's a whole life cycle thing. It's involved.
Okay.
all right. But
You
yeah,
also
no,
read
I'm
Dune.
I'm glad we have confirmed that we now Gen Con's gonna give us a whole theater to watch Dune together. Thank you very much for that confirmation. Now on more really cool, exciting news that are going out. So you might not know this. A lot of people, this is something new that is coming out and about. Zenobia Awards came out. They're basically a group of like fellow publisher or not fellow creators, fellow board game makers, publishers and stuff teaming up together to give out funding and also mentorship to people trying to break into various RPGs and board game industries. This was announced in November 2020, but we just didn't want to cover it yet because we didn't know who was like behind the backing and everything like that. And now that we have more information, we can go ahead and tell you more about it. Applicants pitch game ideas to win money and connections. The explicit is to like basically allow access for people who don't necessarily have the right funds or know how to get it, but they have a fantastic world and idea that they want to tell folks. Judges, like a lot of times what they're looking for is tackle some like for this subject this year was to tackle some historical subjects, political, social, cultural, scientific, and economic or military that has happened throughout history. And here are just some of the top picks that they had for this. Keep in mind, a lot of these things are stuff that has happened, and usually they try to choose things that are not just either Western or US base, at least American base in this one. And I like just coming from my understanding, a lot of these is just very interesting choices that they have. Like I'll go ahead and list 5 of them. Liberation of Haiti, which players see fighting against French colonists government trying to enslave Africans and
Maroons.
why am I
Maroons.
Maroons, yes. So it's more of like Haiti, big, like a lot of people don't know historically, Haiti has been like for a small little area has been like standing strong and being like, yo, no. And so that's just like a very interesting concept. Another one is Winter Rabbit by Will Thompson, a game about pre-Columbia Cherokee village, like just living in that kind of like aesthetic of pre-Columbian, like in this tiny little village. And then also another one is Molly House by Joseph Kelly, a game about a group of gender-defined individuals who meet in London's 18th century Molly houses. Molly houses happen to be what at the time was considered drug dens in many ways for that, and people just trying to survive, especially those who don't conform to normal standards, of course, during the 18th century. This one's a hard name for me. Kalabazoo. How do you pronounce that?
Bazoglo?
So Zabolo, Legendary Children, that has players becoming members of a ballroom community, predominantly featuring Black and Latina X LGBT groups. So it's like that, you know how like a lot of like, especially if you happen to be Latinx, a lot of like coming of age ceremonies that happen and coming of age groups. It's like a very big thing
Have
that's
you ever
coming
seen
about culturally.
the TV show Pose, which is all
Yeah.
about ballroom, the Black and queer ballroom?
Oh yeah, okay, so that's the one. They're talking about voguing. There we go. I got confused for a second. So that's what they're talking about. Okay, now I know.
And then there's a documentary called Paris is Burning, which is a brilliant, amazing documentary. You have to watch it, which is also about that culture as well. Yeah.
Yes. All right. I got confused because I thought it was because I read it as a different thing, but now I know it's actually
You thought
about
they were doing
actual...
like ballroom dancing. You thought
I thought ballroom dancing, not the other ballroom dancing that I know. I was like, wait, which ballroom dancing are they talking about? Anywho, and last but not least, Turmoil in Tiananmen by Naomi Shin, Catherine Dillman, and Juliet Gage. And Longwen Chang is the Yellow Revolution that covered the history of the rebellion and protest in China and in the Philippines. This one is, I feel like, very, very, very poignant to this time because people still in China do not recognize the event that happened in Tiananmen Square. If you want to go ahead and look up that stuff. So a lot of these are just very interesting, like kind of points in history. Like throughout this is from who applied was about 145 applications, 86 proposal reviews, and 46 are advancing to the next stage where they were given feedback by mentors and prepared to present to the judges on June 15th. And the final results should be released about October 15th. If people are looking
that's what
forward
that's what they said they're targeting. So, like, I think these are all just wonderful examples of the kinds of games and themes and topics that when we specifically invite creators who are outside of the established scene to bring in, none of these sound like any game that I have played already, as opposed to, another Mediterranean economic empire building game or something like that. As much as I love those, it's fantastic to have new variety and perspective and experience. So I'm very curious and very excited to see what will come out of these Zenobia Awards. Like, I think that will be really key to determining what the long-term legacy of this program is and what it does in the future. But so far, now that we've started seeing some stuff come out of it, it's very intriguing. And I hope that, of those 46 that go through, only 3 will win. But I really hope that the other 43 or so, keep working in the industry and keep producing some interesting stuff.
Yeah. Part of it's the visibility too. I mean, with the awards, and like we know about these ideas for games, so even just for publishers looking for things, I was like, oh, hey, how about we look to these people and these creators for new content?
Yeah, because I mean, like, there's out of this list, I'm interested in all these projects. I think they're all really interesting. And if the Legendary Children one doesn't win anything, I would still buy that game. I would still support those creators. So I think that it will also do a lot of things for like raising visibility for those people as well. And I love that I'm hearing more about people supporting people on the back end and helping creators not only just get into the gaming, but also make their own games. It seems like there's a lot more institutional support as well. Sorry, Paiwaka just woke up from her nap.
No worries. But yes, no, it's all about being visible. And speaking about visibility and accessibility, Isabella, tell us all about it.
Oh, it's me again. So let me there's so many tabs and I keep opening up my tabs and then I keep getting a face full of Solid Snake's cheeks. Okay. So there is a disability-focused Dungeons & Dragons supplement, which is really awesome. This has been kind of in the news for a while, especially because there was some, I use controversial lightly, conversation about the idea of accessibility in Dungeons & Dragons, particularly because there was a creator who had built ramps into D&D, and it was controversial. I use that in scare quotes because it wasn't controversial for anybody that has 2 functioning brain cells. At me, I don't care about that. So,
yeah, that was the whole combat wheelchair kind of discourse, and the
You're in a fantasy realm. You shoot bullets from your magic bullets from your hand. I don't know.
The creativity and excitement we saw come out of folks who made 3D sculpts and who, you know, made creations around that, celebrating that stuff, was just fantastic.
Yeah. And so this is a supplement for more accessibility, and this also has the added benefit of benefiting Bristol Children's Hospital as well. So you have a subclass for paladins called the Oath of Accessibility. So you get an NPC also named, I think it's Rapunzel Human, I think is how you pronounce that. And you get all different kinds of additional abilities, spells, maneuvers, for the different kinds of, in order to kind of, what's the word that I'm looking for? Integrate.
Show this in the game. It's an oath a paladin can take, and that they can uphold, and it's a ideal they've pledged their life to. So it's a very interesting way, I think, to take a charity component and an awareness and visibility component and plug it into a portion of the game kind of already built for that, to be honest.
And you also gain access to that combat wheelchair designed by Sarah Thompson. That was the person who was behind that as well. I think that this is great because this idea that gaming is supposed to be some form of escapism, to me doesn't really make a lot of sense because of the fact that the idea, what I hear when people say that they're using games as escapism and that it shouldn't have any sort of real world, either politicking or accessibility issues in it, is what I hear is that person is saying, I don't want to think about these things. I don't want to include other people. I don't want to think about heavy things. I just want to be outside of those things and not have to worry about being inclusive inside of my games. And it sounds less like they're escaping into a fantasy realm and more like they're escaping the real world, which is
they're escaping their responsibility to pay attention to what's going on around.
And so it seems to me that there is more of a trend of how to incorporate accessibility into games, into gaming, and how to make it so that people who do have accessibility issues, whether that be hearing, mobility, or anything like that, won't have to completely change or ignore those issues in order for them to be incorporated into the game, which is the point. Like the point is that everybody should be able to play the game exactly as you are. And you shouldn't have to be able-bodied or white or cis or male or whatever in order to play the game. You should be able to play the game where you're at, no matter what that is. And so,
well, I mean, just even as part of that, escapism means different things to different people.
Right.
You might want to play a game to escape from one thing, but celebrate something else. And a lot of people just want to see whatever they're going through represented or available for them to do in the game. So this particular oath is on a site that's from, D&D Disability. If you look at the site, it has a bunch of other rules, that might connect with other people who have other challenges. There's rules for dealing with chronic pain, ADHD, autism, stuff like that. So it's a lot of stuff that, as someone who doesn't experience most of those things in my life, doesn't occur to me to include. But it makes total sense once it's brought up that, somebody who does deal with those things might very well want to have escapism or have a story where they talk about a heroic fighter who, is a hero that rises above everything despite suffering from chronic pain the entire time. Those are just as valid stories as, I liked Schwarzenegger, so I wanted to be a barbarian. That's D&D covers many things.
Yeah. I mean, it's a very privileged perspective, like you said, to, if you're not dealing with these things in your life, to say, well, I don't want to deal with these, or these come up in my life and I don't like it, so I want to escape from that. And for other people, this is my life, right? I also don't want to deal with this, but I have to. I don't have that choice. And yeah, just a lot of this like escape from reality thing is just such BS in the ways that people are saying like, okay, I just don't want to listen to difficult things. And yeah.
And I think that this is really great tool for GMs just to have if you want to have this sort of supplement in order to make better games for your players, you know, and in order to make a better experience for other people and to put those into account. So this is really cool. The Oath of Accessibility is available and you can download it from the D&D Disabilities website, and all the funds go to the play team for the Bristol Children's Hospital, which does a lot of support for the kids that are needing particularly prolonged care and major surgery. That gives them games, toys, books, so that the kids, while they are hospitalized, that they still have a sense of play. So that's really incredible. It's good all around. You're learning more about how to include players who are who have accessibility issues. You're incorporating more diverse voices into the game. You're benefiting children so that they can have games and toys and stuff like that. It's just a good. And there's so much bad in the world this week. It was so terrible. There was so much.
Oh no, yeah.
That you can just do something that's like good, and it puts a good in the world. So you should really consider this one. I love this story. Very good.
You know what? I also heard that other than good, you should just put chaos, lots of just figurines of chaos and all things. That is, hey Derek, you can go ahead and tell us about
How
it.
you doing? Oh, cool, sweet. So there's a handful of different models that Games Workshop has been previewing and will be releasing shortly that were just fun to share. One I think we talked about before was Be'lakor, the great first demon prince, is getting a huge, enormous model, and Games Workshop has given a little more information about what's going to be included in the book for that one. So, other armies that will get some rules in the story that introduces Be'lakor back into the game. These Chaos is obviously getting stuff, but so are the Night Haunts, the Caradron Overlords, the Seraphon, which we'll talk about more in a moment, because Isabella is very excited about that. The Disciples of Tzeentch, Fire Slayers, Stormcast Eternals. So, in typical Games Workshop fashion, there are a handful of minor updates for some other factions that are coming out when a major new model is released. But a couple other previews they've done as well. For Sisters of Battle, there is a fully armored female warrior with a huge shield and a sci-fi halberd. So if you didn't know that you wanted that, you can check out the picture and discover that now you do. But more importantly, near and dear to all of our hearts is Lord Croak, the mummified old man frog wizard, leader of the lizard folk. So he is a special little just old man crouched in his little palanquin, ready to cast spells fast and furious.
I love him.
Yeah.
I die for him.
Yep. Lord Croak won Isabella's heart real fast. So let's see if they can convince anybody else here to go make a Seraphon army for Age of Sigmar.
I love fat frogs. You ever just look up pictures of fat
Oh,
frogs?
angry fat frogs.
Actually, yes.
The meat frog is also the really cute one that's like a little balloon frog and it's going meep.
I love fat frogs.
I'll tell you, Nurgle has some good plague toads.
But are they fat enough though? They gotta be chunky.
Trust me, Nurgle has got some heft.
You know what else that should be chunky that Isabella wants to talk about? That's a good segue.
That caught me off guard. That was the best transition. Yes, keep going.
But yeah, no, Isabella, can you tell us about what solid gear has to bear for us?
Yes, speaking of things that are dummy thick in the world, there is a leak actually of the new Metal Gear Solid game, which is coming out. A board game which is tied to a lot of the new Metal Gear Solid material that's coming out, including a new movie that is slated to start with starring Oscar Isaac, who is also Dummy Thick as well.
Who's also in Dune. It all comes back.
That guy is in everything. He's in Moon Knight, which is the new Marvel movie. He's in Dune. He was in Star Wars. He's playing Solid Snake. This man is in every single piece. He's going to show up in the next season of Bridgerton. He's in every single. He's in every single thing, and it makes no sense whatsoever. So the board game art apparently leaked. I didn't know if the title for it had leaked as well, but Psycho Mantis is a character in the Metal Gear Solid world.
Of course they are. Of course.
Listen, everybody
with a name like that. With a name like that.
Listen, if you've ever played Metal Gear Solid, the world of it makes no sense. It makes no sense. It's insane. There's 50 different versions of it. Solid Snake is like his own grandfather. It makes no sense whatsoever. It's crazy, and it's like, if you like it, you like it, and if you don't, you don't. And when I played it when I was a kid, I was like, you can hide in a cardboard box, and I was hooked. The art was released. Of course, this came through Reddit, and which, you know, all good things come through Reddit. But there's no kind of information about what exactly the plot is for this game, not yet. Even though you can kind of infer some things if you've played the video games or if you know anything about the material. My prediction is that there's going to be some sort of tie-in to later properties as well, tie-in to try to introduce people from the kind of myriad, confusing world of the Metal Gear Solid lore.
But are you trying to argue that a game called Psycho Mantis Battle is going to be a friendly on-ramp to a complicated Metal Gear Solid world?
That's my theory.
Okay, all right.
My theory is it's going to be like, hey, have you never played the Vidya game before? Here's a board game for you. And it'll just kind of be like a good kind of on-ramp. So then maybe when you watch the movie, you'll have like some sort of understanding. I don't know. All I know is that this game better come with a free cardboard box for me to hide into. So
if the game's big enough, hide in the box.
Hide in the box. Sneak.
So yeah, this is interesting. They're the co-designers who departed IDW Games earlier this year. Adam B. Metal, is that this person's real name? Wow. And P. Walsh. Yes. This is a little tippy taste of what you can expect. Maybe. Or maybe now that it's been leaked, they'll go back and they'll change everything about it.
Yeah. Well, maybe that was just a tester. They're like, yeah, we leaked it just to kind of get a free, figure out how testing the waters, you know, all those things.
No, that's really only a April Fool's thing, isn't it?
No,
half of all the April Fool announcements are
all the time. People have been like, it's like Marvel does it all the time, where like they'll let something leak and then they'll change it in the thing.
People didn't really like that. Oops.
Yeah.
But it's okay. It's time for the bundles. Time for Derek to put the bundles. I was trying to do something cool.
Okay.
Pyrotechnics? Are we? Do we have that in the budget?
I don't think you were approved for that, and that might be. We'll have to talk about that.
With the resolution, it looked like a potato, and I said, "Why is Bonsai lighting a potato on?"
No, it's not a potato. It's a gosh darn
pyrotechnics in the budget. That was 40% of our budget, right there.
All right. Well, no more movie theater rental. I'm sorry, everybody.
No.
So our bundles this week, we have 3 bundles to go over relatively quickly. On Humble Bundle, there's actually 2. Both of them are kind of tie-ins to games. First, there's a new and classic D&D comic bundle from IDW. They just have a bunch of D&D comics up there. It's $332 worth. Like any other Humble Bundle thing, there's a number of tiers that you can get at depending on how much you want to put into it. It helps benefit, charity. Humble has been doing great stuff. If you love comic books, if you love D&D, then it is your Christmas in April. The other bundle that is on Humble is the Warhammer 40K Stories 2021 Black Library celebration thing. These pop up on Humble Bundle quite frequently. I feel that this is how Games Workshop wants to get a lot of people into the lore, into the games. They let you read the novels, they let you explore a little bit, and then eventually you're like, I should probably pick up a model or two. And that is when the end begins, and they got you. So there's a bundle with just a ton of ebooks if you want to get a sampling. Most notably, there's Lords of Silence, which is one that I actually read. It's a Death Guard one that I thought was really quite good. If you want a novel from the perspective of an actual like Death Guard Chaos Warrior and the twisted logic that those weird, crazy cultists will go through, I enjoyed that novel a great deal. But the different books in the list pretty much cover almost all the factions. Almost everybody has at least one novel in there. So whether you're playing Tyranids or Tau or Imperium or Space Wolves or whatever, Imperial Guard or whatever it is that you want to do, there's something there for you. If you've been looking for something to read and you want to get into Warhammer, here's an affordable way to do it.
Which is the one where they fall in love? What is it, like the Tyranid and the Space Marine and...
I think this is just the fan fiction you made in your head.
Yeah, I think you're flashing back to your Spaceballs
after,
moment
remember?
where you're using your little figures and kissing and then you hide them in the drawer.
Yeah.
So then also on the bundle of holding, the bundle for this week is a blueprint bundle from 01 Blueprints. So for the starter collection for $13, you get a whole bunch of maps for a city. There's maps for like a pirate sea, and then maps for a fortress. And these are all like super incredibly detailed. So if you've ever needed to figure out exactly where everything in the fortress kind of orient or connects to each other, this is going to give you what you need for that. And then the bonus collection has a Drow city, some more city stuff for the maps provided earlier, Wild West maps, blueprints for like a Nautilus, an airship. Dune is included, although again, I feel you still have the spice plant on there. I'd like a revision of that, please. There's a Victorian house in it. So if you like floor plans, not necessarily battle maps, but floor plans, then there's a whole bunch here for you. And this benefits direct relief. So check it out.
All right. And now that we're done, we're going to go to Kickstarter code now. We're going to go ahead and grab it, dance, and Derek start us off. Yeah.
So continuing on our theme of games that try to tackle potentially weighty historical themes, John Company 2nd edition is on Kickstarter. And this is one of those projects that seems at first glance to start out like it's a typical, Euro style game of the colonial era, the British Empire, extracting value out of India, and you just want to make a lot of money and win victory points and win. But the Kickstarter does say that this is specifically about examining what it's like to be part of that empire and the decisions that the people in that government make to try to the selfish decisions that they make that add up to the horrible exploitation of other people. So it's, I don't know if it's successful in that, but I'm certainly intrigued. The creator's other works recently were Pax Pamir, which was another game in a series examining the impact of the British Empire had on the world, where you are playing tribesfolk in Afghanistan, trying to kind of survive and establish a future for your own country underneath these different warring European powers. So there's a lot of interesting potential here. The update for this 2nd edition includes, redone art, much more high quality components. A lot of potential. I'm very curious about it. It is definitely an expensive game at $80, but if this, heavy, weighty, high-minded game appeals to you, this looks like it will be a pretty solid bet.
All right, cool. Next, with 6 days left, Possible Worlds and RPG subscription box. It's not quite like you get a whole year. Each month you pay for a subscription box service. This is 6 games in 6 genres over 6 months with 6 days left. Is that enough? 6 is for you. But it's basically a bunch of 6 funky RPGs, each small enough, like a ring binder, kind of small enough you can fit in your back pocket. These are meant to be like very diverse for atypical players. Let me go ahead and list the 6 RPGs that you'll get. Or like I said, you get digital delivery every month, and the box set of all the physical games comes to you at the end. So you get each month you get a digital set, and then at the 6th month you get all of the 6 different RPGs as a physical copy. So something for everybody. Dating Sims, which is a comedic romance RPG meant to emulate dating sim video games. So like boyfriend, Hartufu boyfriend kind of thing. And visual novels. So
boyfriend.
Yeah. So if you're into that and KFC love heart game, this would probably be the one for you. Grandpa's Farm, a solo letter writing RPG, kind of like based off of like Stardew Valley and Animal Crossing, where you're writing letters to your grandfather who lives in this farm and you're a city dweller. Lots of cool things with that. Hounds is a dice stacking game RPG based on RPing a bound between a mech and a pilot, and I'm pretty sure you're gonna have to actually stack your dice to go through this game. I'm just kind of guessing with some of the mechanics there. Scene Thieves is a diceless RPG where you take a role play a game of acting troops improvising a play while simultaneously committing a heist at the same time they are putting on a play to cover up their heist actions. Single Unique Power, which is SUP, is a collaborative character and world building game where players work together to build a world of superheroes and populate it. It's world building. And the last one is I think my favorite one of the 6 RPGs, which is Wishless, an RPG set in a world where everyone in the world gets 3 wishes, and you already spent your 3 wishes. So you're going to have to convince all the NPCs to give their wishes to you. So if any of these RPGs sound interesting, cool, and just downright silly and you want to play them, Possible Worlds and RPG subscription box with 6 days left, Thursday, April 22nd.
So with 6 days left as well, we have Trinity Continuum Adventure. And this is one of those games that there's a whole game series that I just have a lot of affection for, because I remember back when I was a young gamer and I was eyeballs deep in World of Darkness and everything White Wolf was putting out. And then they came out with Aeon, which was like this sci-fi future alien space exploration on a vaguely, past a tragedy kind of thing. And then they came out with Aberrant, which was the history of that game. And it was the superheroes that went crazy that the Scions had to stop. And then they came out with the history of that game, which was Adventure. And that was the two-fisted pulp action Indiana Jones from the 1930s era. So this is the new edition of that. They've released these games with a new system called StoryPath that they're using for the Scion, Descended from God's game as well. So if you like any of those, if you like psionic space adventures, if you like doomed tragic superheroes, or you like Indiana Jones with kind of this vague problem on the horizon that is going to end up happening, the trinity of those games together always made a very interesting whole or puzzle to me. And this is your chance to kind of get back into it, recapture it in this new edition. So you have 6 days left. If you like Indiana Jones, give it a look.
All right, with 7 days left, we have Sentinels of the Multiverse Definitive Edition. So I don't know if you guys remember this game, the Sentinels comics and such. This is from those same creators. That it's a brand new take on the classic comic book card game. It's 1 to 5 players. You get to control heroes, fighting evil villains in dynamic environments, and kind of thing. Like I remember playing it a while back and I was like, oh, I really enjoyed it. But basically the creators of this game basically went off to make a lot of other board games and then decided to take that knowledge of what they've learned, because this is that, like, Sentinels was their first, like, board game, an intro into making games. And so over time they learned a lot of cool things and they're like, you know what, let's go back to our first board game, clean it out, make it more like streamlined, give it a new look, update it, and take what we've learned that people like and put it back and update this game. And that's essentially what it is. The updated version of Sentinel the Multiverse is each player gets just updated. Each player gets a deck corresponding to the hero they're playing. The core games comes with 12 heroes, 6 villains, and 6 environments. But like I said, it's the artwork has been improved, streamlined. They did better graphics. They streamlined the rules, and they just were saying, hey, we like this game. Like if you liked it in the past, we made it even better. Is what they're claiming to have done. So if that sounds interesting to you, 7 days left, Friday, April 23rd. Sentinels of the Multiverse Definite Edition. Definitive, not definite, definitive.
All right, and now saving the best for last, it's time for me. With 8 days left, ending on Saturday, April 24th, this game is Sephiroth, not to be confused with Sephiroth, my favorite character from Final Fantasy VII. This game is a tarot-based game for 1 to 2 players. The art is gorgeous. It reminds me a lot of Alphonse Mucha and the kind of art from the Belle Epoque period. I'm obsessed with it. It is gorgeous. I'm also obsessed with tarot-based games. So this game combines the kind of worlds of tarot divination together with this kind of strategic game that you can play either solo in the solitaire mode that they call the Know Thyself mode, or you can play it in kind of cooperative 2-player mode. One which is called the Lover's Discourse, which I absolutely love, and then the other one is called the Warring Planets. And it has 2 different sides to its deck. You have one that's a side that's better for solo play, and then the other side that's better for this kind of meditative, cooperative game, but that is more of like trying to get your divination to say do certain things. It's gorgeous. I'm absolutely obsessed with this. So it's a great game for ages 12 and up. I think that if you're kind of more into more metaphysical things, you're going to jive more with this. And the playing time is 30 to 60 minutes. So this game is called Sephiroth with 8 days left, ending on Saturday, April 24th. And speaking of historical games, this game is called First They Came with 9 days left, ending on Sunday, April 25th as well. This one is an immersive role-playing game that you play actually blindfolded, aided by a soundtrack as well. And this game is really interesting to me. It's based primarily, so if you recognize the title, First They Came, it's a very famous poem by a German poet named Martin Niemöller, who wrote this poem about how he essentially was a coward, and how he watched the Nazis take over and did virtually nothing. And it's supposed to be a warning to future generations that if you see the rise of fascism, maybe do something about it instead of just putting that out there. And so this game you play blindfolded because you play as there's 5 main characters, and you're all in an attic as Nazi forces come into Berlin, and you basically have to navigate inside of this dark attic, only aided by the soundtrack. There's a lot of really cool interactive pieces that you get with this as well, including some supplemental materials, some documents, some ephemera in order to aid in sort of understanding more about who your character is. And your characters are based on the groups of people that were persecuted by the Nazis based upon their disabilities, their sexuality, their ethnic background, their religion, their job. There's so many different kind of things that you can do with that as well. And I think this is a really interesting game because of the fact that it places you inside of history instead of sort of how we view history as being this sort of far away, distant black and white sort of a thing that has no basis in reality. I don't know about you guys, but I'm really obsessed with these accounts that re-digitalize and recolorize photographs from the past and recolorize movies and things like that from like the early, and it's wild when you get to see these. It's so cool. A lot of it uses as AI technology that replicates. It's a whole thing. I'm really obsessed with them. I follow every single account that I can find because of the fact that like when you look at all those black and white things in color, you realize like, oh, it doesn't look like the past. It looks like now. There's no difference. Mm-hmm. And so I think that what that really does, especially because I just watched this video of Martin Luther King in color, and I was like, oh, he just looks like a man. He just looks like a human being. When you look at history like that, in that context of how closely it is related to us, it helps you to recontextualize, to understand that there is no distant past, that everything is sort of happening, it folded onto itself. And I think that this is a really great game to play, to sort of understand and emphasize more with how the past and the present are much more closely aligned than we would actually like to think of them. So this game is called First They Came, which is a blindfolding, immersive, interactive soundtrack role-playing game, and it has 9 days left, ending on Sunday, April 25th. It's also available in a multitude of different languages as well, which I think is really cool because it's out of Italy. So yeah, check it out.
Very, very cool. Yeah, no, that's definitely a cool guided experience that I think people should just get more into. I like guided experiences. You know, it's kind of meditative and also really fun. It's like the old radio shows, you know, that people used to like going, hello, we're going to do our local reading of Indiana Jones today as he jumps across the pit, kind of thing. But hey, guess what, folks? That was a TableTakes. But hey, wait. Stick around because we have a whole slew of shows here that we need to talk about here on Gen Con TV. Not only are we your Gen Con TableTake news, but there's also a bunch where we can hang out and play board games and enjoy them with you. So starting, all of these, of course, are all Pacific times because we are here in Seattle. Anywho, Monday at 4:30 p.m., One Man Murder Maze. Sounds like a very fun. I'm not really too sure what. Do you know what is that about? Are we just going to be on a POV in a murder maze? Sounds fun.
It's one-on-one D&D with one GM and one player.
Oh, okay. All right. I didn't realize that. I was just viewing that we were going to do like, you guys have a warehouse set up and we're going to put one person in the maze and then let them run around.
I would have just hidden that we've started kidnapping people and throwing them into Saw.
No, I thought this was a volunteer. People volunteer for this stuff. So that's what I thought. I was like, why was I asked to volunteer for the murder maze?
The GM is the voice of Gur from Invader Zim. And the player is one of the writers from Invader Zim.
Oh, nice. That sounds really cool. Okay, so both are really equally valid, but yes, I'm sorry. I had in my whole mind that you guys rented out a warehouse. And it
sounds like cake or death. Cake or death.
But yes, and then that's followed by Board Games with Brothers Murph at 6 p.m. They're brothers. They play board games together, and you get to see what happens in family love. until they don't love each other anymore. And then they flip over the table. But no, that hardly happens. Next is Wednesday at 10 a.m. This game gets dicey. You take two friends that are across the world and then try to let them play a board game together, and all that hilarity ensues. And then, of course, Friday, 2 p.m., you get to see all of our fabulous, beautiful faces, Isabella, Emma, and Derek. All of us giving your sweet table take news. Remember, folks, to follow, subscribe. If you miss out on our live Twitch feed, don't worry, 24 hours later we're going to be up on YouTube. And also, if you want to connect with your fellow Gen Con fans, your Gen Conians,
genitals,
you can join our official Discord and hang out there just to be with like members. And also, thank you guys for hanging out in chat. Thank you as well for Emma and Isabella and Derek for hanging out and giving us the sweet news.
You're
and also
phasing out of reality right now.
No, just the couch.
Just the couch. The couch
It's
is
clearly
phasing out of
Doctor Who's
reality.
couch, and he might be coming back for it.
It's
Simulation. It's
the
breaking.
Matrix is breaking.
And
Emma,
also-
show your image one last time.
One more time. We need to know how does do. Oh, now it looks spicy.
Bye,
Spicy.
everybody.
All right, bye everybody, and also thank you, Marcus, for doing behind the scenes.